It's projected that in the next 3 to 4 years, Uganda Prison Service is expected to complete the overall 30,000 acres through establishment of more prison facilities within an agricultural complex.
Uganda, are you ready to kick things up to the next level? The Uganda National Lottery brings you Sports Take 10. Predict the results of 10 football games and win big. With tickets at only 500 shillings, join the fun and make your predictions count with Sports Take 10. Sports Take 10, your ticket to football glory.
Ugandan National Lottery. Dream, play, win.
Participants must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The Uganda National Lottery is operated by Ituba Uganda and regulated by the National Lotteries and Gaming Regulatory Board.
Pick of the day on UBC.
Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
Was brought to you by...
I'll call you every day, yeah, yo,
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000 or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21 hash and select daily or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
My name is Atube Richard, a member of a group called Kanyope, located in Bungatira sub-county. This group started in 2008, but the Prelnol project started supporting us in 2009. The project has offered us training on farming, and the training we got has helped us immensely. We used to farm in a traditional way, planting a variety of crops. But when the team from Prelnor approached us, they asked us to choose particular seeds to grow which can yield very well in our area. We chose groundnuts and rice, which we are growing. With this kind of farming, the project also taught us how to sell as a group after finding a market. The support from the project has been so good to us.
107.3 Kampala, 96.9 Mbale, 95.7 Jinja, 98.6 Soroti. You are all covered.
UBC Mutego. UBC Mutego.
Acholi Zono Industrial is one of the presidential initiatives which is brought here in Acholi land to skill our youth. The skilling is free of charge. What you really need, you have to be within the age of 18 to 35. They don't need any requirements apart from being willing. You have to be willing, and a youth who is willing to get the skills. The courses we have started with only 4. That is tailoring, hairdressing, carpentry, and welding. First intake, we registered 212. We admitted, 212 students from 10 administrative units of Acholi. These students, they recruited them from different districts within the Acholi sub-region. If we continue with this cooperation, many beneficiaries will pass through us, and they will go with enough skills unknown skills which will change them and later bring them into money economy. We shall really fight poverty in that way.
As Gulu District Farmers Association, in 2 districts of Omoro and Gulu, 14 Sawa and Tirandre, farmers benefited from this project, whereby if you go to that link of Gulu District Farmers Association, you have all the details of the number of farmers who have been benefiting from this project. One thing Gulu District Farmers Association benefited from this project called Interlude. It has strengthened the extension system of the DFA, or the Gulu District Farmers Association, whereby there were capacity.
Welcome to Good Morning Uganda, your go-to morning show to kickstart your day with all the latest updates.
Let's dive deep into issues that matter most to you.
In a world of stories waiting to be told, the headlines are your guide. Navigate the currents of news and knowledge with our daily updates of newspapers. Stay informed, stay empowered.
From the roar of the crowd to the thunder of victory, witness the drama unfold with our sports updates. Whether on the field or in the stands, join us as we celebrate the spirit of champions.
Rise with Good Morning Uganda, weekdays from 6:30 a.m.
Welcome to Good Morning Uganda. I'm Olive Monica Najima here to steer you into the fresh new day and also share some important updates with you. Now, what's happening on the local scene? President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, who is in the districts of Bududa and Sironko for the wealth creation tours, has affirmed the government's continuous financial support towards fighting poverty at the grassroots. Now, speaking of the same, successes of the parish development model continue to be registered, with the latest testimonies witnessed from Bududa, Sironko and Manafa districts of Bugisu sub-region. So yes, we are ending the year with beautiful highlights in terms of poverty alleviation, but also President Museveni has launched the Uganda Free Zone Export Facility in Entebbe to boost Uganda's export capacity, but seems not pleased with its delay to be completed. On the same grounds, this launch was earlier preceded by another launch of Uganda's implementation plan for the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, along with the launch of the 2 Uganda Connect trade hubs at Entebbe International Airport. Well, that is what is happening in the local news. Now we'd like to focus our attention onto the press review, and on that, we start with the New Vision, which is saying government workers get new job targets. How rogue clerics manipulate believers. New guidelines for extension workers released. Qualifications for cows, deputies and principal assistants raised. That will be in the New Vision when you get the paper today. Museveni tells leaders to document PDM beneficiaries, and also Ugandan wins global award in vaccine research. Now moving on to Kenya, the Daily Nation, Ruto's law changes for 2027 State House race. And looking at the other details inside the paper, senior police officers moved in probe in anti-femicide demos, pairs of schools without managers. Then abandoned Kenya, India to the rescue of baby Ariana. And still in the Daily Nation, Kenya extends G2G oil deal with Gulf firms. Garden wedding, AG gives couples more options. And in courts, used car dealers fight NTCA's listing order. You will get details in the Daily Nation. Now, moving on to the Citizen, how the EU's relationship with Tanzania has changed. European Union Managing Director for Africa, Rita Lalangina, discusses in an exclusive interview with the Citizen the EU's role in improving fiscal governance in Tanzania and how cooperation with Africa has evolved beyond the traditional donor-recipient dynamic. Now, political parties salute role Tendwa played in promoting democracy. Also in the Citizen, 15 seized over vandalization of SGR electricity infrastructure, and also Lissu alleges plot to harm him. More of that in the Daily Nation. Now we are going to take a short break. We'll be back with our newsreel. Stick around.
Snowflakes falling down, flames are crackling loud, and I'm alone tonight, wishing you were by my side. Stars light up the sky, angels sing me a lullaby. Been praying every day for Santa to bring you home on his sleigh. Christmas kiss on my lips, my lips. Your Christmas kiss on my lips. Your Christmas kiss on my lips, my lips. You're my one and only true love. True love. I've been missing you, but baby I've been true. Been waiting so long to hold you in my arms. Don't make me wait out in the cold for your love. Come me up, baby. Your love's the only gift I need. I want your Christmas kiss on my lips, my lips. I want your Christmas kiss on my lips. I want your Christmas kiss on my lips, my lips. You're my one and only true love. Don't care the diamond rings, I don't care about the finer things. Don't care that silver and gold, just kiss me under the mistletoe. I want your kiss. Give me your kiss. Want your Christmas kiss, want your Christmas kiss, baby. Want your Christmas kiss on my lips, my lips. Want your Christmas kiss on my lips. Want your Christmas kiss on my lips, my lips. You're my one and only true love. Don't leave me. Want your Christmas kiss on my lips, my lips. Want your Christmas kiss on my lips. Want your Christmas kiss on my lips, my lips. You're my one and only true love. Shoo-be-doo-wop-bop-bow.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, thank you so much for sticking with us. It is Good Morning Uganda, time for our newsreel where we delve some more into some topical conversations that have been making rounds in the mainstream media and sometimes on social media. Now today, the issue we want to delve into is partly a social issue, but also it is something that the government has interested itself in. Lately, when you drive along many routes, especially within city centers, by the roadside, you are going to see many dealers that are selling gas cylinders. And when previously, we used to buy these cylinders from petrol stations, but now we have many dealers by the roadside. So the Ministry of Energy says it is drafting regulations to govern the sale of liquefied petroleum gas, LPG, commonly referred to as gas, and this follows reports of an increase in the number of illicit dealers in cylinders, most of them operating in roadside shops. So we are delving into that conversation. My name is Olive Monica Najuma, and today I am with Mr. Chirabo Robert Nyonyintano. Good morning once again, Robert.
A lovely morning to you.
You're right.
You look Christmas.
Yeah,
there's some Christmas in you. There's some glow. And I see. You're in the mood already. Is the pocket also?
Can we get to the point here of talking about gas? Because the questions you're asking are starting to. We are going into defamation. But anyway, Robert, first of all, what prompted the Ministry of Energy to begin drafting new regulations for LPG gas?
First, we must accept that globally, due to effects of climate change, the world is moving so much to clean energy. And there is so much advocacy that we move away from charcoal, we move away from firewood, and we adopt to clean energy. And one of them is LPG. Now, even since 2002, I think our government has been deliberate in pushing these forms, and they even gave out a number of cylinders free of charge to attract Ugandans. I know many people have seen those cylinders that have there's GOU, Government of Uganda. They were being given at a small price compared to what you would have bought. Now, like my sister said previously, there were petroleum companies or gas stations, petrol stations, that were selling this gas. Now, Ugandans are very crafty. If a business is making money and they see the need to, now many began setting up stores and selling these gas cylinders. But Olive, we must agree that this gas much as it has very many advantages, it is very, very dangerous. Very dangerous. And in case of the gas cylinder being tampered with, we can lose the number of lives of people we don't know. Now just imagine someone by the roadside who has 40 cylinders, each of 13 kg. In case there is fire outbreak and these cylinders explode, that would be a disaster that we cannot tell. Even in your home, we all know if you do not look after this gas very well, what can happen? You can burn the entire house and lose lives. Now, government has noticed first that the quality of these gas cylinders is wanting. The cylinders themselves, the quality is wanting. Remember, these gas cylinders have expiry dates. Are you aware of that? That before you buy a gas cylinder, there is a date on it.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Because for most people, Robert, they buy the first time you're purchasing the cylinder, right? But every time you are refilling, you're given a new cylinder. Same company, same brand, but a different cylinder.
Now on that cylinder,
you're saying on the one that they give you, you're supposed to check for the expiry date.
Yes, because you may find 2020 to 2024. December. Now you're coming in 2025, there are marks on that cylinder. Any authorized company worth it on their cylinder, they write the dates. Now people, because over time, because this container, let's call it, the cylinder is carrying gas, over some time it weighs out the capacity to hold that gas. Now remember, there is gas, there is fire. So over time this cylinder weighs out. Now, they have noticed that for petrol stations, many of them remove them from circulation. But for these other dealers, they keep these cylinders. Now, you may tighten your gas very well, put in a safe place, but when the cylinder has reached its expiry time, if overused, just the components that make it can no longer hold that gas as it goes through to give you fire. So
that's how we end up with an explosion.
That's how we end up with an explosion, and someone will say, my daughter or the housemaid did not lock the gas very well. But the leakage did not come from the fact that this gas was not stopped. The leakage came that the cylinder over time cannot hold. Now it is releasing the gas out, and many people don't know that. So that is one of the things that the ministry has also observed, that many of these gas cylinders we are using, some of them are expired and they're just a time bomb, and most of the accidents we get, I want to call them accidents, we blame people that someone did not tighten, but it's the cylinder that had a problem. Second, they have also noticed that when you go to petrol stations, they have space and they have a particular designated area because they deal in highly inflammable products. So they'll have fire extinguishers, they'll have, you know, it's their business. They know very well. Now for you, when you go and you find the cylinders just out there, but they will be in a space, they have the fire extinguishers in case of anything. Now you go to someone, here is a washing bay, here there is a market, then the gas cylinders are there.
I've seen one in actually a market that side where I stay. So they are next to a butchery, but in front of the butchery there is someone who sells fish, and that person who sells fish has a sigiri where he fries the fish as well. Like a few meters from each other, but very close to each other as well.
Now the ministry and the government, they are saying this kind of everyone who can set up gas business. These are highly inflammable products and must be regulated. Actually, they are advising people from now that only buy this gas from a petrol station of your choice, but do not buy from those vending it. Second, they have also discovered that some of these people have methods of refilling wrong gas in these cans.
Which one is wrong gas?
Now, I'm told that the LPG for cooking may be slightly different from that they use in, not welding, you know, when like gas of, when you take your vehicle or anything and they want to join metals together, that they're different. Even that they put in our refrigerators, they're different. Now, someone just goes, you know, they refill refrigerators with gas, but that's not the gas that's supposed to be used for cooking. Now, some of these people, their containers, they fill in the fridge gas. It will cook. It will cook. I also didn't know this until one mechanic told me that we have a guy that repairs. He had come to work on. Said, no. When it gets finished, give it to me. It is the same gas. Now, not knowing that the other one is very, very dangerous. But also, they have noticed that these gas cylinders have a particular capacity where the refilling must stop or the gas must stop. Now what is happening, some of these unprofessional people, they will tell you that that is 12 kg, but they filled past the level. Now, have you ever seen a bottle of soda or mineral soda, because it contains some, filled to capacity? Because if you did that, you risk it bursting or exploding. Now, most of these people, they think they're hitting the market. They will tell you, no, for me, you buy 12 kg, but in actual sense, I've given you 13 extra. In a cylinder that is meant to contain 12.
I've given you one extra to make
one
13.
Extra. For us, we have a, no, don't buy, you have a bar. Come this way. Now, because Ugandans, we are used to having even excess in everything, you're going to purchase that gas. Now, over a time, that is why they would, over a time, you're going to find out that this is going to be dangerous. Then also, sensitization. That is also another issue. That these people, where you're supposed to buy gas under normal circumstances, there must be a warning and someone who will take you through.
So Robert, thank you so much for raising that. I would like for us to look at the current situation. In your own perspective, what gaps exist in the current guidelines governing the LPG sales?
Now, first, issues of security. Safety of those selling and those buying. Currently, those are the major gaps that the ministry is looking at, because they need a regulation to regulate who will be selling, where will this gas be sold, what do we require for you to have a selling point of this gas. Do you have the expertise? For example, when you've just bought that gas, you're staying in Nigeria, you've bought it maybe around any petrol station of your choice. Are you aware that you immediately you reach home, you shouldn't just lit that gas? So safety gaps here, ministry wants to regulate for safety purposes, but also quality. Like I said, a number of these cylinders are not worth being used. They have outlived their time. But you find someone is just painting, even those expiry dates, you can't see them very well. For them, as long as someone looks at this cylinder looking nice, kanokapia. The ministry wants to look at issues of safety. Are you aware that if you're buying a gas, actually I also learned it yesterday when the ministry was briefing on that, that if that particular cylinder has been refilled, it must have a stopper on top. But today you'll find that someone, you buy today, there's that seal that you have to remove. Tomorrow you come, there is no seal. That a sealing company to satisfy that has worked on this and everything is proper, there must be that black thing or white that you have to remove. So safety issues are very important, and that's what the ministry is looking at. And also protection of the quality that is being sold to Ugandans. Like I told you, is it the gas for cooking? Are Ugandans getting the right quantities? Or are you being cheated? Because with a gas in, how are you going to measure? If I told you there are 4 kgs, it's not like water that you're going to look through. It's not like a petrol station that there's a pump showing. So are Ugandans not being cheated? So we look at safety, we look at quality of what Ugandans are being given, and also the safety of these cylinders. But my only worry, definitely, when a law comes, it has impact.
So speaking of the law, and you will share the impacts, do we know what some of the features of the new guidelines that are being drafted by the Ministry of Energy could be?
No, currently we don't have a draft as yet, but it's something in the offing they say that they must now work on. I think them having this press conference and all that was to show that there's something coming. Prepare. There's something coming, and remember, when a regulation comes, it has an effect.
Of course.
That is automatic. There is an effect. And when it comes, because one of the things they talked about during these deliberations was gas being sold by petrol stations.
Now, Robert, I hear that, and I've had, you mentioned that the minister did also mention that maybe roadside sellers stop selling the gas. But let's agree, with the emergency of roadside sellers, gas has become even more accessible by different people. I don't remember the last time I went to the petrol station to get gas. I only call my supplier and he delivers at home. And I think I'm not alone. There are many people like that. So looking at that, and also the places where they are situated, petrol stations are not everywhere. So them being within our community makes it easy for people to access gas. So would you say that going back to petrol stations being the sole sellers of gas, would you say that would be taking us a step back, a step forward, or in a place that is well deserved?
Well, it's between a hard press and a rock. Reason being, one, when a business starts in Uganda,
yes,
many people move into it. I remember where I stay, I think away from the petrol station, we had only one dealer in gas. Today, as we speak, we may be having like 20 dealers. Now for you, you have a supply. Me, it is like a shop of gas. Here there's a saloon, here there's a boutique, here there's a video library. The middle guy is selling gas. Now just imagine, it's a line of shops. Yes, you call him, he comes, picks the cylinder, takes, he knows even the type you're using.
Yes.
And this person doesn't sell a product of one manufacturer. Like you'd go to Total and you know it's Total gas. You go to Starbucks. Those Starbucks have seen something like government of Uganda. I'm here to investigate, is it a depot? I've seen cylinders with government of Uganda, to be very honest, and I'm
maybe
like,
on some of them they worked with the government.
Maybe they
but
work
still,
with government.
Robert,
now, what I was saying is, imagine this one can give you a gas cylinder of almost suppliers of gas, liquid of LPG, not only handling one product. Now, if you have about 12 brands, you have Shell, you have Starbucks, you have Total, you have Rubies, you have mentioned them, and some I don't know, because there are even some that are not made by companies that have fuel stations. So, quality, standard, look at that. Quality and standard may be doubtable. Two, are we sure that what you're giving us is exactly that product?
So what are you in agreement with the minister that sale of gas or LPG should go back to the petrol stations?
I'm in agreement given the danger. You see, we've lived so much on the grace of God. Indeed, we are living on the grace of God, no doubt about that. But you are living risky lives. I've just told you, you have a line of shops. Remember recently when we had a fuel tank that exploded around Kampala, was it Kampala? Matuga, where we saw almost an entire street being destroyed, petroleum. Now just imagine cylinders of 25 kg, 40 of them, one exploding and fire begins.
Now, Robert, I get your concern.
You don't have fire extinguishers.
I get your concern.
have...
Thank you so much for mentioning that. Now, I get your concern and where the government is coming from to regulate. But we've also established that there is a business here. There is something worthy exploiting, and not in the negative terms. Like Ugandans, we are being told to find ways of making money, side hustles, start a business and whatnot. So now that we've established that there is business in gas, instead of closing off that in turn, I'm saying it is risky. Remember, we are also the same people telling many communities to adopt renewable energy, okay, and sources of, you know, cooking and lighting and everything. So now if we are taking something that they can now easily access in their communities back to the petrol stations that are not everywhere, by the way, that's very important to note, and we're taking a step back, wouldn't you say that maybe, yes, we've established the risk, and this is how we should move forward. Instead of saying close up and go back to the petrol stations, why wouldn't you suggest maybe certain guidelines that must be followed if someone must deal in the sale of LPG?
Well, I'm optimistic that when the law is out, much as now it is emphasis on buy at petrol stations, because of course a law goes through processes.
Yes.
Members of parliament consult and all this, and should be in the interest of people. I want to believe so. So I believe there could be guidelines that may factor in that. But however, even if they are, they must be very stringent guidelines.
That's okay.
And they may put quite a number of dealers today out of business.
That's okay. As in, if you cannot follow the guidelines, then you might as well not do the business. But you can't say, let's close the business because we are fearful. Then we will not.
I remember I posed that argument in some debate, and someone told me fuel is not sold everywhere, but people look for petrol stations.
Do you know why it's easy for people to look for petrol stations?
And fuel, they are
because you're driving the vehicle. Are you driving the gas? But anyway, Robert, let's move on. So how do you think will these regulations address the challenges posed by roadside dealers and illegal sellers?
Well, first, they will not be in business if they are not organized. That is a given. If government, for example, says that you must be given a license to operate a store of LPG. Now, getting that license, it means they'll have to visit and ensure you have safety measures, because that's going to be a requirement. You have safety measures in case of anything. Do you have the fire extinguishers? Are they there? That is one. Two, location. Where are you situated? Are you in a market? That is something they must factor in. Yes, if it is the roadside, is there a reasonable space? These issues at every supermarket having someone selling gas, that when you drive to a supermarket, you can also get gas and go home.
That's where it started.
That's where it started.
Station to the supermarket.
To the supermarket. So, and some supermarkets, standalone supermarkets, having these dealers just where there are fruits. The next thing is gas outside. Now, space, they must find out which area you're going to put this gas. So it will address that many will may apply for licenses, but believe you me, they will not be given. It's like now opening up a pharmacy in Kampala. That now National Drug Authority has to verify if they're giving you a license. You're not going to have a pharmacy here and someone has here and someone here.
I've seen many pharmacies. Like,
yes, but
like in the same neighborhood.
But currently, you go and apply for a license. They will tell you. They will first come and inspect. They will tell you, no. In this area, much it is business. We don't issue out such. So the places for you to get this license, I'm very sure it may pull out a number of people. Safety measures needed for you to operate this business, I'm very sure they will pull off a number of people.
Okay, be that as it may, shall we have stricter monitoring systems?
Now, that is the challenge of our government. Uganda, we have very many good laws and policies. But our biggest challenge is implementation. No wonder one said laws are born in Uganda, they grew up in a certain country, then, and all that. So, I may not guarantee Ugandans that there is going to be proper implementation of this. And also with the high levels of bribery. Are you aware that shisha smoking is prohibited under our laws now?
And yet high-end bars.
High-end bars. Now you can't run a bar. I'm sorry, someone will say, how does born again? But you can't run a bar today and there is no shisha. When police wake up and they're like, like NEMA, sometimes cases I see that once in a year, or you're just unlucky that they will come to your bar, pick those pots and go away. But there is a law. And when it had just come in place, I saw some bit of force and scaring here and here completely now. All over Uganda, even in the most remote area, if there is a bar, there is shisha smoking. So if that is dangerous to people's health, how are we sure that we shall have strong implementation teams when it comes to gas? And sometimes we act after an incident. Now maybe we have one store that will cause havoc, then move in action. We are not proactive. But of course reasons will come out like human resource, manpower. We are very few, they will tell you we are very few. And now if you look at so far the spots that are available, they will tell you, given the number of people, we cannot be able to be everywhere. Now it goes back to you, the consumer of this gas. As it is today, you who is buying that cylinder.
Now, speaking about safety, and we all know gas is very dangerous. Once an issue happens, it can be fatal. But what measures have been taken, or what steps have been adopted to increase awareness to the public when it comes to illegal LPG sales?
I want to say not so much has been done. And actually that is why even I think we have low uptake. Because when you compare someone who is using charcoal, because we have a middle class growing every day in Uganda. When you go to these urban cities, urban centers, you'll find that many people can afford gas, not so Olive. But you still find that many of them are using charcoal. And when you do a survey and ask them, well, let's calculate this bag of charcoal, and if you bought these kgs of LPG, where would you make more saving?
I can answer that. But also it depends on how big one's family is and the kind of meals they prepare. If you're still very traditional and you can only eat our local meals prepared the way like matoke, sibanyi, gaza, what's the word? Ovakugateka kubobeza, then you definitely need.
So LPG doesn't do kubobeza?
You will be you will be consuming more if you choose to do that. But then what people don't know, especially some that have ovens, is that your oven is not consuming as much as when you use your electricity plates to cook. So I know Ugandans in the diaspora who do kubobes and they use their ovens. But let's go back to
now,
the electricity ovens, not gas, because they are consuming more. But let's go back to your question. Depending on how big the family is and the kind of meals they prepare, if you are into simple, easy, to-go meals, I think LPG will be your answer. But if you're into the kind of meals we prepare, let's say here in Buganda, our kubobeza, then charcoal. So it goes back to your lifestyle, how you feed, what you like to feed, and how big your family is.
Well, I've interacted with a number of them, and they will tell you, gas is dangerous. Because they are not, yes, it is dangerous, but globally, it is being used because there is awareness.
When you go to the Western world, that's what they use.
That's what they use.
Yeah.
And they don't have accidents as often as maybe we have here.
But you see, the difference we have when you look at, let's say, our rentals, do landlords provide space for gas cylinders? Because abroad or in the Western world, gas cylinders are not inside the house. They have a place where they are positioned. So have our landlords taken those steps, or people are still living with their gas cylinders inside their houses?
Definitely find someone in one room. Around, you know, that organized room. You have a bed, you have just like hostel life. Or when you go to these hostels, what happens? You find that almost students have these gas cylinders. I think there is a 6 kg, a small thing, but they have them. So there is still lack of awareness on, and that has also hindered uptake of LPG. That many people, because we've not created enough awareness, they are very scared of using LPG. Actually, they assume that it's a danger they must keep very far from their family members. So we've not done enough awareness, I want to say, as government or as even companies that are in this business. Much more still needed to be done to sensitize people, like we talked about the dates, that people, because customer awareness is very, very low, very, very low in our country. And when you go to these homes, you'll find someone, they don't even know when to sense danger. You know, some of them, the nozzle is no longer tightening properly. You just hear someone say, I feel like gas is smelling.
That's very true. So now, speaking of that, Robert, what safety measures should consumers look out for when they're purchasing their LPG?
One, look at that cylinder very well. Remember, some of them are even, they'll spray them to look new, but look at that cylinder. Get the date on that cylinder.
Where is the date?
Usually, every company does it's different, but the top, usually they put it there, where on the top of the cylinder, they write some figures, some numbers there.
Okay.
So you can easily look out for that, know that your cylinder is still valid to contain that gas. But
So
also,
it's not the gas that is invalid, but the cylinder. And like Robert said, if the cylinder is invalid, or if the cylinder is supposed to be thrown to the garbage and it's containing gas, anything could happen and you could end up with an explosion. That's why it's very important for you to look at your cylinder and know when it is when it was manufactured and when it is supposed to go out of use.
Second, also to look out for, are you buying from a genuine distributor? I would still advise to buy from a genuine distributor, say a petrol station, or for now an agent of a company, and they are authorized to sell that particular brand. Are you sure the gas you're taking is fully refilled by professionals? I told you of that seal. That if you're buying gas from a professional company, certified, they'll always have that lock on top of the gas. I know many who have bought. If it's brand new, there's that you break for you to put on, you know, that cylinder will have them. Most of these ones will just put on direct cooking, because that on it also there is some wording that you know that the particular quantity is in that gas cylinder, but also you will know that if it is Shell, Total, this company has done the refilling. They are crafty people who are putting anything that can burn in these cylinders. They're not putting the LPG, but they are putting, like I told you, the gas you find in this fridge, there's that particular part. Some are using that very gas to put in, and it's very risky for you. So are you taking the right product? 2, are you taking the right container? Now, are you knowledgeable enough on how to use this gas? If there are these small ones where there's just a nozzle and then you can cook, whatever component of this gas, are you sure it is in the right function? You visit Monica and you're like, Monica, gas aunya. Talk about it. Then she comes and closes. This thing got spoiled. I must get a new one. If you're using
but
gas,
they're still using it.
But they're still
just
using
thinking
it.
about getting a new one.
I must get a new one. it is oozing out quantities of gas. Now, before you know, a smoking uncle comes home. Remember, it's already in circulation. He will lit his cigarette.
And everything goes.
Before you know, electricity goes off. Believe you me, we still have a number of people who use candles. You're not yet back home. The maid will lit a candle. Before you know, there is something that requires, that will steer fire from that leakage. So your gas, every component, if you have these other bigger cylinders and you know you wire to your gas cooker, you wire to your gas stove, everything, the tubes that run this, are they in order? Are they functioning? Because the most dangerous thing with using gas is a leakage. Because once fire, that leakage has the capacity to lit any fire. So those are things you should really take care of when using gas, and you will enjoy cooking because it is safe once used properly. It is a death sentence once messed with.
Well, the conversation has been government's move to regulate the sale of liquefied petroleum gas, also known as LPG. We have, with the advent of many roadside dealers, it has increased the risk of poor standards in the gas that is being sold. Some cylinders are supposed to be thrown out, but they're still being sold. And then some dealers are filling the cylinders with not the appropriate gas. So a lot to unpack. We are waiting for the regulations. The ministry didn't provide a timeline as to when the regulations will be out and when they will be implemented. But what we know for sure is that the government has taken interest in this to safeguard and protect Ugandans. We'll be following this story even further and we'll bring you details. But for now, let's take a short break. Good Morning Uganda continues.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, every story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Known as the Pearl of Africa, Uganda is a captivating country. This is a land of breathtaking beauty, from rolling hills to shimmering lakes to misty mountains and dense rainforests. Its diverse landscapes and fantastic wildlife make it a spectacular destination. Even though it's right on the equator, did you know that Uganda has snowcaps? From one of the highest mountain ranges in Africa to the mighty Nile, the country is filled with natural beauty. Here, you will have the opportunity to encounter African elephants, the rare and endangered mountain gorillas, and if you're lucky, you'll spot the tree-climbing lions. Uganda has over 50 distinct tribes, each with its own traditions, music and dance. This country is the perfect blend of natural beauty, a vibrant culture and friendly people. In this video, I'm going to show you Uganda's largest national parks, Murchison Falls and Queen Elizabeth. We're going to visit Uganda's botanical garden and the famous Mabamba swamps. I am taking you on a trek to the impenetrable forest of Bwindi in search of mountain gorillas. And we're going on many boat rides, including a visit to the most gorgeous lake in the country, Lake Bunyonyi. Welcome on a journey to the most beautiful places in Uganda. This is a safari adventure I will not forget. Our first morning in Uganda, we woke up to the sound of the birds in a tiny neighborhood in Entebbe. Entebbe is a small city of around 70,000 people located on the shores of Lake Victoria. This is where the only international airport in Uganda is located. Our first visit this morning, we are going on a boat ride on Lake Victoria. Then we will transfer to smaller boats and enter the Mabamba swamps. Lake Victoria is the largest lake in Africa and the second largest freshwater lake in the world. The lake covers a huge area and has a coastline with 3 countries, Tanzania, Kenya and Uganda. There are over 1,000 islands in the lake. Some are very small, others uninhabited. Lake Victoria is also one of the main sources that feeds the Nile River. At the beginning of the swamp area, other locals came to pick us up. We switched to their smaller boats to enter the swamps. This wetland has great ecological importance and is a big birding site, home to over 300 species of birds. This morning, we're hoping to see the elusive and prehistorical-looking shoebill. We're extremely lucky to find a mom and its baby.
Okay, it's going to fly.
The mom flew away, but the baby let us approach it from real close. This strange-looking bird has a razor-sharp beak that can decapitate any fish or even a small crocodile. Our baby has yellow eyes, but some shoebills have exotic pale blue eyes that can be very striking. Shoebills are mainly silent, but they do communicate through clapping their bills very fast. This is a vulnerable bird species that needs protection. Navigating through the narrow waterways, the tranquility of the swamp is enchanting. We were surrounded by tall papyrus and gorgeous lilies. Our next stop is the National Botanical Garden of Uganda. You can walk around the botanical garden all day. This is a vast and captivating place to explore. The Uganda National Botanical Garden serves as a platform for education, research and recreation.
We have pink, we have the small finger banana, we have the long one, we have the purple banana, so different species. We have where we make alcohol, banana whiskey. Yeah.
Situated along the shores of Lake Victoria, the garden is a scenic backdrop for some beachside relaxation or a picnic with friends. One of the first Tarzan movies was also shot here in black and white back in 1940. The park is a tapestry of plants, animals and flowers. There are over 120 types of herbs and 300 varieties of trees here. If you look closer, you will notice all sorts of fascinating insects, and these huge sprawling spider webs are quite interesting. Just be careful not to stumble into one. The park is a heaven for bird enthusiasts and home to over 115 species of birds. If you visit the botanical garden, make sure to pay a small fee and hire a guide. It's worth having a local person with you to show you the best spots and tell you all about the many plants and animals. Later that afternoon, we walked through the neighborhood surrounding our hotel. Walking on the streets of Uganda is safe, and people are very friendly. It was nice to be able to witness the daily lives of the locals. And we got to try some sweet baked yams. Next, we're off to Murchison Falls National Park. En route, we stopped at a local roadside market. This is a popular stop for drinks and snacks. The vendors immediately surrounded our car with many choices: roasted bananas, chicken sticks, sliced pineapple, and other goodies. Further down the roads, we were served this huge fish lunch with mashed bananas and French fries. We traveled all day on the beautiful country roads. Driving in Uganda is on the left, and there are roads and a few highways linking most of the country. Late night, we arrived at our lodge near the lake and fell asleep to the sound of the crickets. Early morning, we headed to the park.
Good morning once again. I want to welcome you to Murchison Falls National Park.
Murchison Falls National Park is a stunning nature reserve renowned for its diverse and captivating landscapes. The park covers over 3,800 square kilometers, or about 1,500 square miles. This is the largest and one of the oldest protected wildlife areas in Uganda. The park borders Lake Albert. Murchison Falls is one of Uganda's most popular destinations. The park is absolutely gorgeous. Many types of antelopes roam in the prairies. We saw many Jackson's hartebeests, the Fasa water bucks, and Uganda cubs. Elephants are thriving here. Many herds were crisscrossing the park. It's so sweet to see the baby elephants wedged in the middle of the herd, guided by their elders. The park also holds the largest global population of road-tailed giraffes. About 3/4 of the world's population lives here. It's an amazing feeling when you see a giraffe in the wild, in front of you for the very first time. What a fascinating animal! We saw so many giraffes in the park, and we got to see them from real close. Murchison Falls has many buffaloes and a huge variety of birds. As a bird lover, I was so excited. With over 450 species of birds recorded within the park, you'll be surrounded by birds. And of course, we were most excited to see the lions. We had many lion encounters and saw entire prides. And we were also extremely lucky to see a leopard and its baby. They crossed the road right in front of our vehicle one early morning. Needless to say, everyone was overjoyed. There was something interesting happening around us all the time. And let me show you the sunrise. Every morning we were greeted with breathtaking views. The landscape of Murchison Park consists of various ecosystems: vast savanna grasslands, woodlands, dense river and forests, and swamps. There are tall borassus palms and many acacia trees. This diverse habitat supports a rich and vibrant wildlife. The Nile River flows right through the park, providing a lifeline for many animals. park is named after the dramatic, breathtaking Murchison Falls. It's considered one of the most powerful waterfalls in the world, as the entire mighty Nile River forces its way through a very narrow gorge before plunging down in a dramatic cascade, creating one of the strongest natural water forces on Earth. The sheer force of the water rushing through the gorge creates a powerful mist and a thunderous sound. You can walk on top of the waterfall or hike all the way down. Instead of hiking, we took a boat ride up the river at the foot of the falls. This boat ride was beautiful but quite long. It took about 3 hours to get to the falls and a little bit less to get back. Along the way, we saw hundreds of hippos, giant Nile crocodiles, many birds, and many other animals along the riverbanks. The most anticipated moment was approaching the base of the waterfall. A staggering 300 cubic meters of water rushed through the rocks every second. Astonishing! At dawn the next morning, we took a different boat safari, this time going down the Nile. The river delta is home to many birds, and the early morning atmosphere is magical. Going downstream provided a unique opportunity to observe wildlife from a different perspective and witness the breathtaking scenery of Uganda's nature waking up early morning. Gliding down the Nile was a very relaxing experience. Along the shore, we were lucky to see the shubio again. After 3 days in Murchison Falls National Park, we headed south to Queen Elizabeth National Park. Traveling the roads of Africa is a colorful adventure. Comfortably seated in our jeep, we observed the daily interactions of people as their lives unfolded right before our eyes. On this particular day, there were huge processions to celebrate Easter. And everyone was dressed in their best outfits. Some of the processions went on for miles. After a day and a half on the road, we arrived at Queen Elizabeth National Park. At first glance, Queen Elizabeth seemed to have less wildlife than Murchison Falls National Park. The landscape here seemed a bit less varied, and the park is very dusty. We saw way more tourists and safari jeeps in Queen Elizabeth than in Murchison Falls. Driving through the park, you can see Uganda's tallest mountain range on the horizon, the dramatic Rwenzori Mountains, which make for a stunning backdrop. The park is very photogenic. Queen Elizabeth is the second largest conservation park in Uganda. The park has the highest concentration of hippos in East Africa. About 5,000 hippos live on its territory. There are also many buffaloes, elephants, and antelopes. We saw many lions roaming around the park, solo or in large prides. We were very excited to spot the baby serval, the African wildcat. We were also very lucky to see another leopard from up close. Her name is Grace, and she wears a GPS collar. I had never seen this before, but in Uganda, the rangers have put GPS devices on a few of the big cats in the park to be able to track their movements. You can pay additional money for a leopard or a lion experience, and the rangers will take you right to the animal you want to see. It's an expensive add-on, and we did not pay for it. We were lucky that our guide was able to find Grace for us. Queen Elizabeth National Park has local villages within the park's boundaries, and people live alongside the wildlife. We had a very eventful afternoon, when an elephant decided to come in and walk through our hotel's gardens.
Don't go very close, just keep a distance.
There are 72 crater lakes scattered around the equator, some of which are located in Queen Elizabeth National Park. These lakes are the remnants of volcanic activity from over 8,000 years ago. The crater lake in front of us contains salt water, and people collect salt from it. It's a popular tourist stop, as the local villages have a market here for art and souvenirs. One of the park's most iconic features is the Kazinga Channel.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archive stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, every story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Sip your coffee as we make sure you enjoy the comfort of your place while watching UBC TV. It is our morning show, and we ensure that we give you relevant information that you need to know as you go about business, as you take that coffee, in case you've just reached your office, you've just woken up. For us from 6:30, we are here. And what do we do is to ensure that you're well-versed with what is happening locally and internationally. Robert Chirabo Nyonyintono, welcome to the agenda. It is a Wednesday, and usually here every Wednesday, we focus on the cooperative movement. Why? Because government of Uganda has come up with very many initiatives to ensure that it uplifts people's livelihoods. It removes the 39% of Ugandans who are not in the money economy to get in the money economy. We've seen even those that are already in the money economy, all government initiatives using one model. And this is very common to many Ugandans, the cooperative model, circles. Government says we may not help individual people, but form these groups, save amongst yourself. We shall give you more money to boost what you have so that you have more capital, you have a better cash flow, you can expand, and the sky will be the limits. But also to serve, it has even given startup capital. But of course, when you're in a group, each one stands as surety for the other. Now, this morning, we want to look at how best we can consolidate achievements made by the cooperators under their top umbrella organization, that is Uganda Cooperative Alliance. And with me this morning, I have the General Secretary, Uganda Cooperative Alliance, Ivan Asimwe, with whom we usually talk about this. He's been lost for some good time now. He's not been with us, but welcome back from wherever you have been.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and good morning, all our viewers. Thank you so much.
Now, Ivan, when you talk about consolidating achievements, that means there have been achievements.
Yes, true.
Now, let's begin first and foremost by letting our viewer know, when you talk about cooperatives, briefly, what are we referring to so that they can properly follow us throughout?
Thank you so much, and good morning once again, all our viewers. I really want to thank UBC, and specifically you, the moderator, for always being there for the cooperative movement in this country. You have really given us enough visibility as cooperatives. And for that matter, we have a reason to appreciate UBC, to appreciate the government in terms of really promoting cooperatives across the country. So when you talk about cooperatives, ideally what you mean, you mean me and you and others either having a problem or looking at an opportunity, we come together and take advantage of it. We are farmers, assuming we are cattle keepers. The challenge is the market. Or we get a market as an opportunity. Maybe in the Middle East of recent, we are told there is too much demand for beef in the Middle East. So instead of going to the market alone, Ivan alone, Chirab alone, we say as cattle keepers, let's come together, have our cows or goats, and then we slaughter them and take the meat and take advantage of the market. That's a cooperative. So ideally, a cooperative is an autonomous association of persons united voluntarily to meet their social, economic, cultural needs and aspirations through a jointly owned and democratically controlled enterprise. It is owned, used, controlled, and benefiting members, and the cooperatives are based on 7 international cooperative principles. That is why a cooperative is not a company. And I want the viewers to listen to this, because there has been a confusion. When you talk about cooperatives, people say cooperatives are companies, cooperatives are associations like that. Yes, a cooperative is an association, but of legal nature. It's registered as a cooperative society. Also, the academia, they tend to confuse cooperatives with companies. A cooperative is a cooperative registered in the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives by the Registrar of Cooperatives, whereas a company is registered by Uganda Registration Services Bureau. Sometimes you go to URA and you find them asking for Form 7, Form 20, as if it is a company. This is a cooperative society. You look at bylaws, you look at bylaws, you look at the policies, you look at the Cooperative Societies Act, Cap was 107, you look at the regulations of 1992. There is nothing like company. So that is ideally what a cooperative is. And globally, we have so many cooperatives, and a lot has been achieved by cooperatives, not only in Uganda, but globally. If you went to America, you went to Europe, and you see the beauty of cooperatives, you see how the economies have been transformed. Moderator, you do come back here and want every Ugandan to belong to a cooperative. I want the listeners to listen to this. There is no magic that Africa is going to use unless we use the cooperative model. Capitalism can never deliver anything to Africa. Why? Because capitalism supports the multinationals, those who have reached far, and you cannot compete with them because they have capital, they have human resource, they have whatever it takes for them to outcompete you. So in order for you to compete as Ugandans or Africa, you need to come together, you need to work together. Talk about the coffee smallholder farmers. There is no way a coffee farmer in Chibingi, like my friend here, you can compete with a multinational like Kawacom. You can't. They have resources, they have everything. But if the farmers in Bukomansimbi came together through their cooperative society called Chibinge, you can access inputs, you can produce together, you can aggregate, you can add value and access the market as farmers. That is the beauty with the cooperatives. If you talk about, let's say, talk about electricity in this country, my question has been, why would you as a country go to outsource a company called Umeme from South Africa to manage electricity here when you have educated engineers? What is the solution? Get your engineers, mobilize them into cooperatives. You have a very big energy cooperative union and let it run electricity so that the money remains here in the economy. That is the magic. So developing an economy, that is how Europe and America, they have consolidated their resources. And this is why we are here today discussing consolidating the achievements, because a lot has taken place in this country. First of all, I want to appreciate the government, moderator, and the listeners and viewers. The government openly supports the cooperative model. When you look at Emyoga, look at the PDM, look at the revival process, all that is aimed at adopting the cooperative model. Forget about the challenges. The challenges are there, and I want to tell you the challenges are caused by the so-called technical people who are not technical. They claim to be technical. When they talk about SACCO, they want to run there. You put him aside, is the one coordinating a whole program. But put him aside and ask him, what is a SACCO? Angaze, he doesn't know. So the government has adopted the model called the cooperative model. What we need to do, me and you, Chirabo, being the technical people, let us sit down and develop a very good model for this country. But not just saying, let this be like this. Because if a president says, I want a SACCO per parish, I think the president has finished. What else do you want him to do? Do you want him to come and develop the model? Do you want him to develop the policies? Now that goes to the technical people. So that is it. So for us, we are very lucky as a country that the government openly comes up to support a model, which is the cooperative model. That's a very big achievement to this country. Because previously, the government party, maybe they did not know or they were not in support. But as we speak today, last week, we had a very big gathering, a conference at Pakuba Hotel in Maction Falls, and later went to Guru with our friend General Saleh. We were together under the Uganda Development Forum. It was a very big gathering. We had so many cooperative unions. We had so many stakeholders. You were not there, moderator. We are now, as a country, everybody is saying, yes, we are ready to move as a cooperative movement. Because there is no way we have been exploited for long. People, viewers who are looking at me, there is no way we are going to transform this economy when people are working individually. We can't, because the multinationals are very strong. You cannot continue keeping money in a commercial bank where you don't have a stake. You are not a shareholder. Why do we go to school? Why do we have degrees, masters, PhDs, when actually we continue to be exploited? Going to school does not mean speaking English the way I'm speaking. Going to school means you get knowledge, skills, in order for you to liberate yourself economically and socially.
Now, having given us that brief background, if I may say, regarding what a cooperative is and reasons actually why this should be the vehicle, fellow Ugandans, that we should emphasize in terms of national development, because united we stand, united we win, and numbers speak volumes. And when each of us brings together the little they have, at the end of that day we have a full basket. And out of that full basket, each one can now utilize these funds to develop themselves. But also when we market together, when we aggregate our produce, when we aggregate our skills, because we may be, let's talk about the professionals, away from the agricultural are cooperatives. If we are all
Talk about the journalists.
And we bring efforts together, have a TV, have a radio station. If someone has minutes there, he will work. That's there. Well, then things will go on very well. Whatever field you're in, you can have a cooperative. Now, we want to look at what you have achieved this year. Because I, for one, am not happy.
Yes.
Because I heard of the Cooperative Bank. And I was very excited.
Yes, true.
But here we are ending the year. I think I was so excited and very optimistic. I thought maybe by now we would be somewhere for this bank as us cooperators owning a bank of our own.
Thank you so much. Before I even go to that, you brought something very important, the professionals. You're a professional accountant, a journalist, lawyer, engineer, name it. But you continue to be exploited. With your ACCA, with your CPA, with your degree BCom, with your masters, your PhD, you continue to be exploited. As if you didn't go to school. This is the right time to liberate ourselves. Now, what do we need to do? You are journalists. Do you know that you as journalists in the country, you can own the best media house in this country? One by one makes a bundle. Just agree and say, let every journalist contribute 100,000 per month. Just per month. And give yourselves 2 years. Do you know how much money it is? Put it aside. Let the chartered accountants, like myself, a CPA, contribute money. I had time with them, with the accountants. At the Hotel Africana, we had the CPD. And this is what I posed to them. I said, accountants, all these years that we spent doing SCCA, CPA, as a finance experts, we cannot see the level of exploitation. They said, so what do? We sat and formed the circle. Do you know now we have a very big circle as accountants? Are you seeing where we are heading? Do you see we can have the capacity to form a bank in this country? Talk about the medics. These are doctors. 5 years you are studying medicine, but you come back and you are going to a money lender who did not even finish senior 6 and is making money from you. So what do? You come together as medics. Do you know that medics can have the best health facility in this country?
Definitely.
So why would you go to look for an investor to come and construct a hospital here when you have doctors in this country? So what is missing? Number one is awareness. People are not aware. They don't know. Number two, we don't have patient capital. Yes, you have ideas, but your hands are tied. You don't have patient capital. Number three, people have not socially and economically believed in cooperation. They still want to work individually. Plus other issues, maybe the policy issues. Now, if all those are addressed, this economy can transform. I tell you, God gave us a very good country. God gave us a very good continent. In fact, people who should be sleeping in the churches should not be Africans. Should be other people who are suffering. But Africans should only be celebrating and thanking the Almighty for giving us the resources, so that we utilize these resources and make money. That is it. So, you asked about the cooperative bank. It is among what we have done in this country. Now, first of all, you said you're a bit disappointed.
Yes. Who is the bank?
Very good. You know, moderator starting a bank is not like starting a small kiosk.
I agree with you.
Today, you can buy your saucepans, your plates, your chairs, and whichever, you go and open something and you start operating. A bank is very complex. With a bank, you need to sit down and carry out a very comprehensive study. You need the financials, you need the legal, you need the economic, you need the political, you need the social. All that should be studied. So that by the time you start a bank, you do not really regret in life. We do not, because we know that we had a cooperative bank.
Yes.
Which eventually closed on the 19th of May 1999. Now, having gone through that challenge, we do not want to run beyond our homes. We want to move systematically. Now, the systematic way that we have moved One, we started with cabinet. Because cabinet had, because in the law, section 49 of the Cooperative Societies Act, Cap 107, says that there shall be a cooperative bank. Are you seeing? Now, in the law, it's already there. Now, being in the law does not mean that you immediately start. We now engage the cabinet, the government. Cabinet approved the decision that it is okay, cooperators, you need a bank. Because you see, there was confusion. Should it be agriculture? Should it be cooperative? What is, should it be mining? So eventually cabinet was clear that we need to establish a national cooperative bank. Then the Minister for Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, Honorable Francis Mwebesa, and the Minister of State for Cooperatives, they sat down, appointed a committee based on the resolution of cabinet, which I chair as the General Secretary of UCA. Now, immediately we went outside and did regional consultations across the country, because you have to get in the buy-in of the cooperators. Because this bank is a bank for the cooperators, not for government. So before you do anything, you must consult them. So we did consultations. Fortunately, cooperators across the country, they want their bank and they are ready to capitalize, which is a very big achievement. We moved from that level. We even held a national cooperative consultative meeting here at Silver Springs, Bugorobi. And all cooperators picked from the different regions. Because here, remember, we are going to different regions, Mbarara, Guru, Mbali, like that. But now we brought them together under one room to think together. And still they maintained that they want a bank and they are ready to capitalize it. Now, having gotten the blessing of the owners,
yes,
you get me, you now go to the next level. The next level is a study. Now, before doing the study, to know that we are very serious, we even went on to carry out a capacity needs assessment. I think where we are heading. A capacity needs assessment, one of the questions within the questionnaire was whether the cooperators are ready and willing to start a bank among the capacity needs. And whether they need anything like a training in order for them to have their bank. Interestingly, the report says over 90% of Ugandans want a bank. However, they want more information on what is needed to have a bank. Because like I've mentioned, a bank is bigger. Because they would say, yes, you want us to have a bank, fine. What is the minimum capital required? You need a study. Do you need $1 billion? Do you need $1 trillion? Because for Bank of Uganda, the minimum capital requirement is 150 billion. Fine. But that is not all. You need a lot. You need infrastructure, you need human resources, you need all that. So what is needed? Number two, what is the legal environment for us to operate a bank? Is it going to operate as a commercial bank? Is it a development bank? What is it exactly? What is the legal framework? Are you getting me?
Yes.
What is the political environment? You get me? Because politics play a very big role in this context.
Very true, very true.
What is the social aspect? So, what is the human resource required? All that, those are the questions. Now, based on those questions, we are now heading to the next level of conducting a comprehensive study. We have already started the process. Immediately after the study, then we shall bring it on the table. We shall engage now cooperators. Don't mind the banker, you don't rush. Maybe you are going to start in 1 year or 2 years. No, it can even take you 5 years. As long as you know where you are heading. So finally, when we have this study done and the report is ready, we will meet all cooperators and say, our bosses, this is the report. For you to start a bank, these are the requirements. Now, should we continue or we don't continue? Should we form a bank? Should we form a development? Should we form a circle? Should we form a union? Should we form a company? What form of bank are we looking at? You get me?
Yes.
Having studied all the dynamics, and then eventually, Mr. Chirabu, I'm very optimistic, and I want to give hope to everybody.
Let me listen to that.
We are going to have a cooperative bank, whether it is next year, whether it is after next year, but we are moving steadily to having a bank for the cooperators. And fortunately, the government is very positive. This one was also discussed at Pakuba. And the resolution is, you know, when you listen to Ugandans, I don't know whether you have taken time to listen to these Ugandans when they are seated together and you talk about financing in this country. All the people who were there, both the elite and the illiterate, they all agree that we need a cooperative bank. Because among the issues that were discussed during that conference is access to affordable and appropriate finance. And we all agree, and the majority of these people were farmers. If you are there, moderator, and you see how Ugandans are crying, commercial banks are not giving loans for agriculture. Why am I saying so? Because it was discussed, it was raised, and we had the banks there. If you give me money for growing coffee, for example, you're a coffee farmer, how long does the coffee take to start harvesting?
About a year.
Not a year. Take 3 years. Yes, take 3 years for you to start harvesting real coffee.
Real coffee, yes.
Yes. Now, you go to a commercial bank. When they give you that loan, when are you supposed to start paying?
That they have taken the money.
This is December.
Yes.
January, you're supposed to start paying. Have you started harvesting coffee?
I want to know. No.
Very good. No. So what is the source of payment? Isn't it your salary?
Yes.
So does it now qualify to be an agricultural loan?
It doesn't.
That's it. So we want a bank that is going to provide this. That is why they call it patient capital. Do you know why Ugandans are not investing? These are economists. People have studied economics. People have studied commerce, even at O level. People have the knowledge to invest. But the challenge that we have is capital. Getting that patient capital, like it is in Europe and America. If you wanted to invest, you would get a loan of around 40 years.
40 years?
40 years, and you find the interest is so minimal, almost 1% per year. Now, such a person gets that money, he comes here to Uganda to compete with you, Mr. Chirabo, who has gotten a loan at 18%, and you are paying back per month, and the loan is for 2 years. Can you compete? You can't compete. So the only solution is having that patient capital. Government created a fund called the Agricultural Credit Facility. This money went to commercial banks. But move around and ask farmers. How many farmers have access to this money? So that's why we are saying bring this money where? In the cooperative bank. Because the cooperative bank has got systems and structures to support the grassroots. So that one has been done and the achievement has been made. The achievement is now Ugandans are aware and they are ready and willing to start a bank. Now, another thing, we trained this year, we've trained all cooperative leaders across the country. The leaders of unions, area cooperative enterprises, circles, and other primary societies. Mr. Chirabo, if you can just move around and see the impact, because we realize that most leaders really do not understand the cooperative model. You know, you are a member, today you are elected chairman of the circle. You cannot define a circle. You don't know any principle.
I'm even a
you
founder.
don't know any policy. You don't know anything, but you are a chair. Now, let me tell you one example. In fact, there are 3 examples.
Why would I not be a chair?
After the training, I had over 10 chairmen of circles coming to UCA because they didn't know the legal procedure whenever there is a dispute in a circle. And they had the cases in the courts. You see, according to Section 142 of the Cooperative Societies Act, Cap 107, it was Section 73 in the old law 112. It says that whenever there is a dispute in any cooperative society between a member and a cooperative society, both present and past, the case cannot go to court, but rather go through arbitration. Now, I have had so many, before training, people were not aware, and they had so many cases in the courts. So when we did the training, I remember we trained on conflict resolution. There was a package on that. So they went back, withdrew all their cases from court because they realized they were going to lose their cases. Because you see, when you directly go to court, someone will raise a preliminary objection and you are gone. You lose a case with costs. So they withdrew all cases, now they are at UCA. And we have handled them expeditiously. And now issues are handled. Number two, when we trained the commercial officers, they realized the need for audit and supervision of these circles. This year, we conducted forensic audits as UCA because we got a subvention. And within the subvention, UCA is supposed to support the audit and supervision of some cooperatives.
Okay.
So we, first of all, enhance the capacities of the commercial officers to go on the ground and conduct audits. So they went and did some audits. So in some areas, they discovered that there were frauds that needed forensic audits. Because you see, when there is a fraud or embezzlement, then you may not do the audit because the law will catch up with you. Because the law requires that for you to conduct that audit, you must be a member of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants with a practicing certificate. Yes, you can't just be an auditor.
Okay.
You must be a CPA, must be SCCA, and a member of the institute with a practicing certificate. So when they discovered that, yes, these are areas people have stolen a lot of money from cooperatives, they now wrote to UCA to facilitate, and we wrote to the Registry of Cooperatives who appointed 2 audit firms. We went on the ground. You were not there. Last month, we had meetings with those cooperative leaders and the resident district commissioners. I want to thank the RDC for change. He took it by himself immediately after the reports were released, together with a commercial officer. They started arresting people, and people have paid back. So this is what we want. This is a very big achievement, recovering people's money, because people have been losing money. Now, as I speak, I have another letter from West Nile. We are going to carry out a forensic audit in West Nile. And people have to return people's money. Because, you know, once someone steals money for cooperators, it spoils the entire movement. So that is a very big achievement that we had. Another activity that we did was organizing the International Day of Cooperatives. This year, Nibokoma Nsimbi, fortunately.
Chibinge there.
Chibinge there. Chibinge was the host. I know the story is still there. What happened there? The fortunate bit of it, away from the celebrations, we held so many activities. We had the national blood donation, the national tree planting, the prayers, the symposium, and others. I want to tell you that cooperators saved over 100,000 lives in this country because they donated over 100,000 liters of blood. That's a very big achievement. Because cooperatives, based on the 7th principle of community concern, they support community initiatives. Then, when we go to tree planting, I want to thank the National Forest Authority. The National Forest Authority gave us over 100,000 tree seedlings to supply. So that is a contribution towards climate change. So you see what is the achievement. So when we talk about consolidating, now that we are closing the year, cooperators, we are very happy because we have done a lot this year, and now we are consolidating. Just consolidating, because a lot has happened. So there are so many. Now, we also, this year, we held a national cooperative consultative meeting in September. And among the facilitators was the director for GROW project in the Ministry of Gender.
Yes.
Do you know this GROW project?
Yes, Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. That is right.
The government has put a lot of money to support women enterprises in this country. You know, people who
and I'm told in one of the banks where government put, that bank has run out of money.
You know,
Because it has been taken.
You know, sometimes people are not aware of what the government does. I'm not a spokesperson of government, but the spokesperson should be able to do this because government is doing a lot. They created a fund for women called GROW. It is in the Ministry of Gender. But cooperators were not aware. They didn't know. Until we had this National Cooperative Consultative meeting in September this year, they listened and the Ministry of Gender made a presentation. Immediately after that, 2 weeks after, it appeared in the papers, the ministry has agreed that this money should go through circles. I think a very big achievement. Very big. Now, when this money goes through circles, it means the majority of the smallholder enterprises which are being owned by women. Because, you see, very many women in rural areas were not accessing this money because there was information asymmetry. But because of that consultative meeting, many people now know, many women have come to learn that the government has a very good package for them. And now the money is going down to the circles and very many of our women will boost their businesses using this money. Another achievement is the agro-processing facilities in the country. Government constructed a lot of agro-processing facilities in this country under different programs. Talk about the Community Agriculture Infrastructure Improvement Program, CAIP, in the Ministry of Local Government. They constructed over 276 agro-processing facilities. When you talk about these agro-processing facilities, you are talking of a store, a machine, the transformer, well connected to power. The facility is there to support farmers to aggregate and add value to their produce. Ministry of Agriculture, through the Agricultural Cluster Development Project, they constructed a lot of facilities across the country. But studies show that the majority of these facilities are just idle. Idle, not being utilized. Reason number one, farmers are not aware.
Farmers are not aware?
Yes.
That these facilities are there?
Yes, they are not aware. Do you know you can find, like in Bukoma Nsimbi now, there is a processing facility for coffee when you are not aware? Do you know the middlemen are taking advantage of these facilities?
Oh, yes, the confusion of middlemen.
When the facilities came like this, the middlemen kept it by themselves, together with some people in government. Now you find someone who is running a machine making money at the expense of farmers.
Yes.
So the biggest achievement on that issue today is that government has agreed that all these facilities should be handed over to cooperatives. Are you seeing a very big achievement?
Very big, yes.
Through the supervision of Uganda Cooperative Alliance.
Wow.
You see, very big achievement. We go to cooperative education. We have engaged universities, because I'm trying to move faster, looking at what we have achieved. In this year, we have done consultative meetings and engagements. I want to tell Ugandans that very soon we shall have cooperative education from bachelors, because currently we have diploma and degrees. No, diplomas and certificates.
Yes.
Chigumba and Tororo.
But yet we are the oldest to have a school within the East African region.
In the entire region,
we were the first.
We are the oldest in terms of cooperative education.
Yes.
Because our cooperative education in this country started in 1954 at Nsamizi. 1963, government opened up a cooperative college at Bukarasa, which later was transferred to Chigumba in 1974. Moshi University was started in 1963 on the 5th of January as a cooperative college. Kenya started in 1967 as a cooperative college. But both of these now are offering PhDs in cooperatives.
You are still on certificate and
diploma.
We are
still on certificate and diplomas. So having discussed all this, then we have all agreed that we need to move a step further to degrees, masters, and PhDs. Very soon, you may be enrolled for a degree in the cooperative, so that when we are here talking, we talk as real men. You know real men talking when you have facts. So it is a very, 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 very big achievement. Talk about visibility. And here, I want cooperators listening in. Join me to appreciate UBC. UBC, you have created the visibility of cooperatives. Cooperators were just under the table. Nobody knew about us. I remember when I joined in the circle, 15th of March 2003, as a cashier of a circle. My OBs would call me from Makerere. Ivan, where are you? I'm working in a circle. A circle? What is a circle? Someone reached an extent of telling me that Ivan used it to be bright.
You're now back in the village.
What
attending
happened?
to something.
Did you fail papers? Because they couldn't imagine that someone who is bright can go to the village to work in a circle. Nobody knew about circles. But today, circles have chartered accountants. Circles have masters. Circles have PhDs. Why? Visibility. So I really want to appreciate you. I want to appreciate other media houses. The social platforms, they have really done a lot to create the visibility. Even now when you are talking, I remember even Mr. Chirabo, when I had started coming here, even yourself, you would ask questions and you would hear the viewers, the questions they were asking.
They weren't very aware of
cooperatives died, but we have circles. Someone who could not differentiate between a cooperative and a circle. Do you remember?
Actually, I mean,
do you remember that time?
Very much so.
Someone would say, but are cooperatives there? What is a cooperative? But these days, they are asking very technical questions.
Now they have understood that even there are various forms of cooperatives.
And I'm very happy to inform you that the cooperative portfolio has grown tremendously. Now we are beyond 50,000 registered cooperatives because of visibility. And I want all this is attributed to the media fraternity. Because media promotes you. So we have really done wonders on that area.
Very interesting. We are looking at the cooperative movement in this country, what they have achieved this year and how they plan to consolidate these achievements. You see, one of the challenges in life is managing success. One person once said it's easy to climb a tree, but then coming down becomes so hard, or holding yourself there. Now, so much Ivan has talked about what they have been able to achieve, and we will soon be in another year. But how do they plan to consolidate this? How do they plan to keep the fire burning? For example, many people knew that cooperatives are only in the agricultural sector. So once you talk about cooperatives, someone would have East Mengo, would have Abanyankole Kweterana, would have, and then look at those and with a lot of trust in what they're going to say, they will tell you cooperatives died a long time ago in this country. Ivan says cooperatives never die. They just rest and they can be resurrected.
Very true.
So this is where we are now, that many Ugandans now have information regarding cooperatives. Many are joining cooperatives, and of course the government programs, their methodology of extending assistance through circles, which is another form of cooperatives, has also done so much good. Consolidating, managing success.
Very good. Very good. How do we manage it? Before that, another thing, you know, I have been talking about the legal lacuna on circles. Now, as a way of what we have achieved in this year, we have successfully engaged the government, and the government is now in the process of amending and harmonizing the circle laws. Last week I had an opportunity to meet with the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Honorable Mao, and Honorable Mao really understands that there is this lacuna and is very positive, and he committed to ensuring that they address this issue. We have also taken it to Parliament, and Parliament is very positive. Uganda Law Reform Commission has already started on it. So it's a very big achievement. Next achievement, we have signed memorandum of understanding. So many talk about the one with UBC for visibility, with the Equity Bank, with the Wakandi, this Innovation Norway, and then Ankasa. Ankasa is the apex for cooperatives in Malaysia. Now, we signed together, I think we signed it in June this year. They want to start importing cocoa from Uganda. Now you see the business. So for me, I'm looking at the business. When I talk about cooperatives, I don't like these cooperatives who are just established to beg. No, we are looking at cooperatives that are established to make money, to do business. So we signed an MOU with Nkasa, which is the UCA sort of Malaysia.